Hey guys, so this video today is going to be an instructional video slash educational purposes only video. So this, what this video will do will show you how to build a device. This device is known as the Spike device. Tony Pantaresco developed this device. We used to be pretty good friends and colleagues and peers and all that good stuff. And I actually have done quite a few recorded conversations with him, if you will, where we're showing you all these different things and basically the war or the infestations that we're dealing with that most ignore. And I'll put a little clip right here, and all you gotta do is go to my synthetic biology playlist, scroll to the bottom, and they're all the ones with Tony.
Translucent ones are in the initial stages of becoming fullerenes, whether it be double-walled, single-walled, or multi-walled fullerenes. The nanoparticles that you already have inside your body will then aggregate or agglomerate to these fibers. So what you're seeing here, these two will look like bamboo rods.
No.
Those are fully assembled fullerenes that are integrating and networking in your body. The others that you're seeing there, those aren't rope worms. Those are fullerenes in their whatever stage they're in. And if they're that thick, that means they've been in the body for quite some time. The thinner they are, the less time they've been in. And if you see them looking like cables like that, fullerene tubes, that means they have assembled and been there for quite some time.
All right, so I just showed you that just in case you didn't even know who he was or don't know what he looks like. But yeah, definitely go and check out those conversations. They're all pretty good, you know. I don't necessarily stand behind everything I've said or maybe even he has said back then, but we live and we learn and it's all about learning, progressing and growth and the understanding of this war we're dealing with. But anyway, this particular um, video is just a demonstration, educational purposes on how you can self-help yourself. So real quick, I'm going to give you a playlist introduction. If you want to learn more about my work, go to my BitChute channel, go to playlists, and you have these options right here. The synthetic biology playlist is the one where I am discussing the topics of these devices and the biological hijacking that's going on. And if you want to see more of my microscopy work, go to Magnified. In that playlist, it's mostly environmental. And in my early work, there's all kinds of things going on in there. But these are mostly shorts, if you will, set the music. So definitely go check out those playlists if you want to know more about why you should even consider making one of these things. All right. And now, how to make a spike. All right, so I'll make my first pull from a wire. It's about the length of my hand from the tip of my middle finger to the bottom of the palm of my hand. All right, so this is where we start, or this is where I start my windings. And yes, I start it on the bottom of the spool. And yes, this is my first layer. This is how I do it. These holes are for my products only, basically. just put it through there. Yes, this is totally different the way I do it. If you watch to the end, you'll see why I do it the way I do it. So, this is how I do it, so you have a very tight and organized coil. Very tight, organized, and uniform. Yeah. And just getting it started like that is, for me, is trying to make it real smooth, tight. Just keep sliding it down. Don't have to count, because all you're doing is you're going to fill this gap, basically. This gap from here to here. You're just going to wind it till you get across. And then you're going to go backwards and forwards, creating 3 layers. 3 layers to this coil. Just constantly come behind and recompress the wire, because you just want to try to get it as tight as possible. And obviously it will work with gaps, small gaps. I mean, it will actually work with pretty big gaps, but that's not what I do. I'll try to make it as tight as possible. For what I call perfect coherence. About as perfect as you can get it, I guess you would say, for a handmade, hand-wound coil, you know? Alright, that's your first layer. Pretty tight. Alright, so now just going to put some tape down to separate the layers. right, now we just do what we did all over again, the opposite direction. Don't let go. All right, last round. Get it back to that hand width. All right, that's step one. All right, part two, the second coil. is basically a 14 gauge speaker wire. I cut 8 feet of it. This is how much I cut for what I need to do for my finished product. And so one piece, the first piece, is 32 inches long. So I grab that, get the tape measure out of the way. So I take my piece wire. This is going to be my lead out. I'll show you exactly what I'm doing when I get it wrapped up. So now I just coil this thing real nice and tight. And after you get a certain distance, you can go ahead and cut a piece of tape. That's just to hold it in place. So you can keep a certain amount of tightness. And again, uniformity. For me, everything's about uniformity. We're rounding it off this way to kind of tighten it up. Got it tight now. Sorry, I was out of frame. Got it tight now. So now we can just really work on securing it in place. That coil is finished. So now we basically got both coils in place, both nice and tight, uniform. All right, now that we got it here, so we'll take these two, we'll break them apart. Got them both split apart. What I do is I like to try to find out which one's the longest, and then I'll take that one, I'll push these to the side. This is my shorter one. I'll take the longer one, put one to the side. I'll find one of these little holes on the side. Again, this is how I do it. You can find other ways to do this. So I'll put one wire through that. So now I have a solid black wire. So now I have a solid black wire here, and I have a striped wire here. So that's important. So to supply power to this coil, I'm going to need opposite. So black here, striped here, So I need black here. So I'm gonna push this black wire through here. And my 2 wires that are coming out this hole right here, this is gonna go to my power supply. All right. So now I'll have 2 wires left over on the inside. I'll just go ahead and cut them down a little bit. All right, so now we have these 2 guys, and these are the 2 we want to direct connect together. And so you're going to need an inline connector. It's also a heat shrink connector. You only need about a 5mm showing of wire there, if you will. Do I connect them? Crump. Twist. Crump. And obviously, whenever you're using the heat gun, you want to make sure that you don't damage this wire, if you will, or like bubble up the coating, the covering, because then you'll have some exposed wire there, and that exposed wire inside this coil can cause problems. Alright, so we got that. So now what I do is I'm going to create an anchor point for these 2 wires right here. I'm going to put in a piece of tape. See that right there? So I'm just going to anchor that down right there. It gives me a place to put this through. Then I'll loop it. Be real easy with it, slow. Because if you do a real hard kink in there, you're going to weaken the wire. Alright, so now I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite end. Cut another piece of tape. So I have enough wire. Make another little anchor point here. So this is pretty much in the center. Do the same thing. Real slow. Got bite. Alright, so now let's secure this down right here. Okay, now I'm just gonna cover it all up. I'm just gonna have these 2 wires sticking out. So I'm going to take that right there to my middle finger, bend it, boom. Middle finger, bend it. I don't need all this excess, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna clip it to about the same length as the other one. There we go. Now you can get your sandpaper or whatever it is you need to use to sand these down. Get the red coating off real good. I usually do this outside, so the sunlight, especially during the day, if the sun's high noon, if you're doing this high noon, like you can definitely see how shiny it is. Alright, so now that we sanded them down, I just take a little bit of alcohol and clean all that dust off of it, all the old grime. So now what I'm going to do now is connect these wires to your lead lines, which will eventually go to your pads. But right now we're just going to connect our lead lines. So what I do again, anatomy. This is a 12 gauge wire. That's just what I like to use. I just bend it in half, get that out of the way. This wire right here is approximately 6 feet long. You can make them as long as or short as you want. If you're building it, you know, at least make it at least your height. So if you're 5 foot, at least have it 5 foot long. This is all I'm doing right here, is just twisting this wire around there. Now I've captured it. Now I'll take my other lead wire and do the same thing. Again, finger. Strip the wire. Twist it all around. Come back behind it. Twist this around. And just watch your fingers, because the wire, these little end wires could stick you. Then the magnetic wire could stick you too. Now what I do is I'll just anchor them down. Take your electric tape, like that, I'm right in the middle. That one's captured. Go ahead and pull the tension on it. secured. The lead wires are on, it's covered. Okay, now, since we got our two lead wires, let's make some spike pads. This is just what I use. It's a rubber foundation. It has an adhesive backing. All the adhesive parts will be covered. This is conductive copper tape. Whatever copper tape you use, just make sure it's conductive copper tape. Just put it in place. I'll put what you call a foundational piece down. Pull that all the way off. So, trying to figure out how much copper wire will I have exposed. Again, 12 gauge wire. Now once you do this, you make it this way. This is the easiest way. It's also, obviously with this type of wire, it's manageable. The main problem with making them this way is if you use this device with any type of solution, whether it's mag oil, water, or anything else, because you want to increase the intensity or the permeability of your skin. I call it voltage gating, but I think the term is electroporation. Anyway, if you get this wet at all, it will corrode, and then you'll just have to cut it and redo it, because it will start to lose its effectiveness or its intensity over time, because that wire, underneath this wire, water will get in there over time and corrode it. And so just replacing the copper tape that will be on the file top won't matter. Okay, so now let's tape it up. Okay, this is just the way I do it. Just want it to be secured down all the way. You can use a piece of cardboard, and it doesn't have to be a piece of rubber like that. I just use rubber so it can insulate your fingers, you know. Just do this to kind of close that gap right here. I'm going to do this all over again. I like to do this twice down here. Again, anchor this down. Go across the top. So I get this 3-inch tape because I want to cover pretty much the whole back. And just create a more of an anchor system to hold everything down. Just pull it across, just work it down. Sometimes you get it perfect. Again, this is just what I do. It's not all those crisscross tapes are anchored down. So this is the finishing touch, and this spike pad will be complete. By doing it this way, that copper tape pretty much doesn't tarnish. It doesn't corrode. Now the wire can underneath, if you get, you know, heavily saturated with water or whatever solution you're using. But always, if you think it's going bad and this part up here looks pretty tarnished, which it will get tarnished over time, this top piece, you can just peel it away and put another piece down. And most of the time that's what it is. But if it doesn't work, it's the wire underneath. It's corroded. Alright, so we just replicate that one more time for our 2 leads. Now wiring up the power supply. I typically go with a 12 volt 10 amp power supply, 120 watts total. Okay, so now we got our flasher, LL552, 2-pin flasher. Got our wire connectors, and we got our wire crimper, and of course the wire stripper. Let's go ahead and get all the wire connectors on the device first. I'll show you why I use this particular type of piece in a second. Why it will help you down the road. Again, this is 14 gauge wire. connected. Good. Not for the power supply. Alright, let's heat shrink them. I just do this end. I don't shrink that end down just because of the nature of these machines. You want to be able to disconnect them over time and switch things out when they go bad or they run the end of their cycle lives, if you will. And I'm basically talking about the power supply and the flasher. The flasher will meet its demise way before the power supply 9 times out of 10. What I try to tell people is, like, look at the flasher just like on your turn signal. Imagine if you ran your turn signal for an hour on end every day, straight, every day. You'd be changing that too. It was just not designed to run that long. Alright, now that everything's cooled down, let's connect. So I always connect the black to this lead. I connect my red or white power line to right here. Might be able to see that right there, X. On the flasher, that's power supply. Now this is the device line. Alright, they're connected. So now we're going to test our device. And you can put the bolt in or out, it doesn't really matter, other than intensity. There's some other engineering terms behind it, but for the layman, this is what gives you more intensity. Right off the bat, if you take it out, you'll get intensity over time with the tissue connection. All right, so got everything. Let's plug it up. It's clicking. See if you can see it in my hands. So I know we're good. Alright, so you can find out your own little way to make all this secure and nice looking and all that stuff. Or you can do a little thing like this to kind of get it out the way. And here you go. You got this is your device. This is the simple way to do it. But I'm going to show you my way. Okay guys, so this is the exact same device. I just kind of redid it in my own way. I put these cast iron plates, flanges on the sides just for protection because it's plastic. You could find sturdier spools, heavier duty, but sometimes it's difficult to find the exact specifications as far as how many inches you need and all that and the diameter. So I just do it this way. It makes it look better, obviously. It also protects the spool wheel. And this is just a junction box, which is just to protect all your connections, you know. And I just put vent holes in there and put 2 holes in both sides, to one for the device inlet and one for the power inlet. And as you see, it just still basically the same. I still recommend getting a little basket to carry it in, you know, because it can get kind of tedious to carry it around and all that, and just plug it in. So-called plug and play, right? There we go. Again, this is just what I do. There's a half 100 ways to skin this cat. Be creative. Be creative. And this concludes how to build the spike device.